I appreciate the 18% of believers in chat right there. As we move into winners finals for Fiend and Yüz versus Power Ranger and Wess. Starting things off here, like you were saying, I mean, you're always going to see a healthy note to Lance when you get into South America, but this is kind of a region that put a lot of eyes onto Spear originally, particularly by pilot of Yüz, excuse me, not Yüz, by Fiend. And that has now become the main ace for everyone. However, Wess has decided there's not actually a weapon needed in the first place as he takes out Yüz completely unarmed.
That was 21 seconds into the game, taking out Karatada 1v1 LAN winner Yüz, and he just did that like it was virtually nothing. This double Dalsim coming in, we don't really see the double Rayman very often whatsoever.
No, that actually pretty much at all of late. And especially from Power Ranger and Yüz at that, excuse me, Power Ranger and Wess at that, you're used to seeing the Lance show up. So, well, we're seeing why, as they just cruise right on through everyone and take out Fiend and are holding a momentary lead, but still looking very comfortable already with this double team up.
One of the biggest things that they probably said earlier today was Queen Knight never dies. She has that really high defense, very tough character to knock out. But if you're looking at Fiend, I mean, he's going pretty much even with Power Ranger, and Yüz is behind both of them. And then you look at Wess. Wess with this Dalsim, Wess with this Rayman does have higher than average defense. Rayman is a tanky little boy, even though he doesn't have arms or legs.
Plenty of weapon lineup for him, so you got that Gauntlet and Axe to help you line up for everything. And that's a big whiff punish right there for Fiend. He's going to go ahead and dip around. Wess was looking for him underneath. Did get a punish on him, but Wess still holding up. Okay, now not anymore. Took a while. Finally got hit by a recovery, but my goodness, Wess was hard to knock out as he uses currently standing over there with only one Sparky.
Dude, Fiend hit that in-sig on him with the spear. Didn't even take him off the top. That's going to be the defense coming in. That's going to be the high ceiling on Fortress of Lions coming in here. So they're going to have to find a way to KO more efficiently. As Fiend is put onto his final stock, Yüz is in danger of being taken out of this game. A single side air was all that made contact, but at least it was from Yüz so that he wasn't in danger of actually being taken out by that side air. Yo, that could have been a big moment. The side sig is going to take out Power Ranger. It is 3 stocks to 1. And of the 2 players, if I was on the blue team, I would want the one to be Fiend.
Yeah, I think if we're looking at somebody to make a comeback here, Fiend would be that person. However, 3 stocks to 1, I think it's just that time where you start thinking, okay, what do we think about in game number 2 as we take a trip over there to there right now. That was dominant. That was a dominant first game from a team combo, like you were saying, we're not used to seeing for them.
Wess putting out 669 damage. Nice on that one coming from him. Big work coming out from Wess. Like, that's the standard. We're used to that.
12 signatures, 58% count. That's attached to Rayman. Those equal stocks every single time. That you got to shut that down. And I think one of the ways that they're planning on hopefully doing that is switching up here to Miami Dome to try and get some platforms to hide away from them as often as they hopefully can. Because that did not work in the first game.
Now, if we look specifically at the end of last game, we saw the Axe Neutralite into the neutral signature to finish things up. That's a really nice setup because you have that Axe Neutralite that does send your opponent up just a little bit. It's not really sending them at a 45-degree angle or anything like that, but it puts them at like the perfect angle to easily pick up that neutral signature, which is very hard hitting, difficult to hit on its own, but it takes you closer to the blast zone and then dumps the force on you. So it gets you closer and then takes you out.
What hasn't been hard to hit is the team combos. Every single time that Power Rangers lined it up, Wess has been there to deliver. And right after, it's been the same on both sides. They both have reacted so well to what their team has done, even with the same weapons, even becoming DIable over time with the bounces. It doesn't matter as long as they get 3 hits, but they do end up falling first. Fiend finding that side air after they got the first knockout as well onto Power Ranger, taking a small lead.
Now we're seeing that Queen Die, Never Die come in because you see, okay, now as I say that, Fiend went from orange to red. We'll see if he's able to survive this as Yüz is spawning back in. He gets hit but doesn't fall. Weapon tosses went out, but he's able to get back to the main platform. He's going to survive a little bit longer, has the chance to put out some damage onto Wess. Wess has his sights set on Fiend. Okay, nice little follow-up there. Again, it's not huge, but the ability to grab an extra 18 to 20 damage just here and there really does add up. Fiend is finally going to fall, but it was about a minute and a half into the game, and Wess has already taken quite a bit of damage on this second stock.
They did that while disengaging, too. They didn't go over, they didn't overextend. It took a little bit longer to find that knockout. So the fact that they're finding the team combo damage like that, they only took a little bit from Wess. That's going to send them off the top, though, with that recovery, and this is a completely big shift here. I think the platforms helped a bit, but I think their team combo lineups are helping a lot more compared to the first game.
And it's not even like like this is just a West issue where Fiend and Yüz focused on West, so of course he's going to get bullied out of the game. We just saw Power Ranger get taken out pretty much on par with the damage that West was taking. So back and forth, now more pressure is being put onto West. So they seem to be focusing a little bit, but it's not tunnel vision or anything like that. It's not clouding their ultimate win condition. Fiend is going to fall, but Yüz still on second stock. See if he can survive this one at least as long as Fiend did previously.
Great defense from Yüz during that, and
huge.
immediately shifting target over to Power Ranger after getting back onto stage. That still won't be enough. The recovery is going to allow him to sneak on back, and meanwhile, Fiend also dodging that Power Ranger recovery to get set back down towards West, trying to get the back hit of that. West is it got a lot of damage on him. They need to shift focus to Yüz, but it's kind of hard when Fiend is popping off the way he is over on the right with those Katars.
Yüz is doing a fantastic job, only now being knocked out. Fiend does have to be careful. He's not in a terrible spot, but he is probably just going to wait for Yüz to come back in because he sees Power Ranger. He sees West. He knows the damage that is on those stocks. Side sig taken out from the middle of the stage.
That was so well played by both of them. At the end there, Fiend put out the sig to bait him to go up. What happened afterwards? Instantly, he was covered by Yüz, and then as soon as they saw resources were gone, and I believe it was West trying to go in to help them out. Right here we go. Coverage, recovery, boom. West goes in to try and help out, instantly set packing for making that attempt because he was recognized by Fiend, and as soon as that happened, after all that double up, after all that time that Power Ranger spent trying to survive, was now forced into a 2v1 who was on top of a platform, and you have way too much coverage range between these two, and that was a really well played game too to get themselves back in the game.
And we have yet another game where Fiend is doing 600 plus damage, so he is doing so much work for his team. Yüz is in the background doing an incredible job as well, even though his damage numbers aren't making him like the MVP, the star player of the game. You saw how long he spent on that second stock while still putting out damage, still being a threat in the game. That also gave Fiend plenty of time to run around, do work all over the place. So we're seeing some good responsibilities being shared between these two players on the blue team compared to the red, but now all of a sudden this game, we're seeing a little bit different beginning here. We're back to Fortress of Lions.
We've talked about this before. It's not about who has the greater stat. It's about having the W in the win column. And the fact that they were working so well together, but West covering, just missed out on the team follow-up, though. That would have gave them a knockout, a double knockout they were looking for, but they might find it here on the Fiend. Fiend's going to have to dip away, and Power Ranger going to try and push for a play on the Yüz to get some damage, but does not find a knockout, though, and Fiend now has an opportunity here on West.
Now, after the victory from last game, that tied up the set 1-1. But if we look at what happened the first game, Yüz ended up falling first. That left Fiend in the 1v2 all by himself. At least the way this game started, that seemed to be the win condition that they're looking for. Except this time, it seems like they're struggling a little bit, finally taking out that stock. But again, you look at the top right, who's the most damaged in the game? It's going to be Yüz. If that trend continues, Yüz will be taken out of the game first, putting, Fiend back into the 1v2 situation, which gave Power Ranger and West that first game victory. Oh, big damage put out on the Fiend very quickly, but Yüz answering back with some axe hits of his own.
It was actually good that Yüz got in there and got that D-Light to break that up, because that could have been a lot worse. The Dare was going to send Fiend back down, and Power Ranger was ready to capitalize even further. But speaking of that capitalization, game one, on this stage in particular, the thing we pointed out that was their biggest strength was the team combos. However, right now, their biggest strength is falling apart because it is now Fiend and Yüz who are answering back with those same things, and they have not a huge lead, but it is a decent lead here right now, up 2 stocks to 1.
Fiend is nailing these signatures. You already saw a side signature KO. Last game, you saw a side signature on the Spear KO. So he's doing a great job of hitting them. If we look at the numbers last game, 7 signatures came out, 43% accuracy, which is still strong. It's not over 50, but it's still strong.
Oh, what an incredible edge guard over on the left-hand side, too, by, I believe that was Yüz. They're going to go ahead and snatch West. West is probably not going to be, okay, he's going to be sneaking in, but he gets the ground pound. He's going to get back on again, but this is one of those writings on the wall type situation you're looking at here, unless he can find a really quick,
okay, Wes.
Okay, if he caught that in air, all of a sudden things might have looked a little bit different.
You saw Wes, he knew that Yüz was spawning back in, so he was like, this is my moment. I have to push, put out as much damage as I possibly can on Fiend while Yüz is spawning back in, looking for a weapon. Side signature from the right side of the stage ends up KOing on the left blast zone. And if we look at the damage that game, Fiend doesn't have to put out 600 plus. They were so efficient that game.
That is because he had 9 signatures and 56% of them connected. You were pointing about that at the very beginning of the game. Now is a trend that never stopped.
It's even better.
it just keeps going. Like, when he stood his ground, stood still, know, like, okay, look, if you approach me, like, what do you do about this? If you go to jump, I know that I'm getting covered by Yüz. Like, there's nothing you could do on reaction to jump over me that equals me losing a stock. Therefore, this is a perfectly fine idea that ended up leading to game number 3 in their favor.
I think the only signature that we haven't seen him use and use really well is the down signature on, I think, both Katars and Spear. Definitely on Spear. I don't remember seeing one on Katars, but we've seen him hit Spear neutral signature. We've seen him hit Spear side signature. We've seen him hit neutral and side on Katars as well. Yeah,
his Katars, the recovery hit ratio on their Katars so far has been enough to find the knockouts anyway, so he's been fine. Weapon toss in, keeping their play going on Power Ranger. Wess's side signatures are not connecting the way that he's hoping. They worked a little bit early on. They do have a damage lead, but he needs those to connect as he continues to swing.
And if you look at the numbers from last game on those signatures from Wess, 10 of them came out, only 30% accuracy. So he's not the most on the mark, definitely when you compare him to a player like Fiend in this game. Yüz still might be in this. Oh, you saw him fade out just a little bit, but like the backside of that dare was able to pick him up, suck him in, and take him out.
That was really good. Made it seem like he had a momentary safe time to get that wall touch and not allowed to do that at all. So, but this is very similar to what's happened in the last few games. They get a good start, and then it falls quickly, usually by Fiend connecting on many of these signatures as he tries to again, but Wess seeing through it that time.
I think maybe they need to focus on Fiend if you're the red team. Obviously, they have a lead, so they're in a good spot, but I think focusing on Fiend is probably the best. Maybe put the slider on where you're actually spending your time a little bit more towards Fiend, because if you look at that knockout potential, I think it's greater, much greater on Fiend than it is on Yüz.
Like we said, Yüz is the one that lines it up for Fiend to finish the deal. Fiend trying to get a combo off there, but it was a little bit too high, not reacting to the distance that would go. D-Light sider, though, sending him back up to down. The D-Light does not send him back over towards Fiend, though. They got a little bit of damage onto him, so they're able to at least get that first knockout on the Power Ranger.
Fiend kind of stuck in the middle between both members of the red team. Oh, great follow-up from Wess hitting the side air, and maybe we're seeing them change up their priority list, moving up Fiend just a little bit as they take him off the second stock, put him on his final, Yüz very much in the red. Nice little follow-up from Fiend. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of damage put out there because Fiend was disarmed. Seeing the Katars come out, the neutral light hits. Nice neutral signature coming out from Yüz, flexing some of his own KO potential, saying you want to focus on Fiend, you want to dedicate a lot of resources to him. Okay, I'm here. I got signatures as well, and I'm Bryn. I got KO potential.
This Winners Finals is a testament to show the story of the fact that this is a 6-3 lifetime set count between these two. The constant back and forth between them, a 2-to-1 ratio, if you will, on the win rate, on like the individual rounds that are probably getting won. It's going back and forth so much. However, all of a sudden, it could be a 3-1 set count if Fiend and Yüz are able to capitalize. They need Yüz to pick up, set up for Fiend, but Fiend is currently getting juggled by Power Rangers, Marky.
And that's what's really scary, is you look at the top right, you're like, okay, this is a pretty close game, but then you look at the bottom middle and you see 2-to-1 in favor of Fiend and Yüz. If they get this, it's over for Power Ranger and Wess on the top side of the bracket. They're going to be going down. Oh, it's so even between these two now, especially Fiend in KO damage, Wess in KO damage. Well, maybe because we're on Fortress and we're bringing that defense into effect. Not quite KO damage just yet.
Neutral Light's not going to be enough to take it out either. Wess has to be careful about how he is over on the left-hand side. Just gave up stage position, but Power Ranger instantly gets in the way to help him get out of there. Gets set back up. Fiend missing out. The recovery's not going to get him off the top. That was so close.
He was unarmed. He doesn't have the force. Yüz is taking out Wess. This is winnable for Power Ranger, but it's also extremely winnable. Oh, neutral light. That's going to split them up so much and gets the KO. It's Yüz in the 1v1 against Power Ranger.
Weapon toss gets sent away. Does get back to the weapon right there. The spear. He catches him in the center, and they get it 3-1 over Power Ranger and Wess. That is going to set up them in that nice, comfortable position of winner's side of Grand Finals.
Fiend and Yüz coming up victorious there off of Yüz hitting in the northwest quadrant of the down signature. I thought it was just barely going to whiff, but he fell into it. And Yüz also picked up 653 damage that game.
My whole thought process on that last part was that he was expecting him to go for maybe a side light, maybe a D-light, something to get a combo starter, and he was going to be able to jump over it in time to find the neutral lights since they just barely missed knocking out last time. Well, kind of got read pretty hard right there. That was a